It's a cool, crisp 46-degree day here in Superior, Wisconsin. We are coming at you live here on the Dogs Maniac Entertainment YouTube channel for another weekly edition of Junior and Junior. I am your host, Jared Renning Jr., as always, joined by my best friend.
Dale Summerfield Jr.
And Dale, let's get this show right on the road. Let's talk a little MLB as we always do. Then we got an album review and then a special
hmm
announcement to close out the show for all the
Yeah,
folks at home.
yeah, yeah. Let's do it. Let's begin by talking about. I don't know if we want to just get right into the Philadelphia Phillies, what they
Okay.
experienced over the last week, or if we want to talk any big MLB news or what's been happening around the league. Or
Well, I can't say I can think of any huge news around the league.
no,
Anything that would really.
I believe there was another suspension for substance, foreign
Oh,
substance.
okay.
I believe it was. Trying to think who it was from the Yankees.
Oh, Domingo Germán, yeah.
Yeah, Domingo Germán. Yeah.
Which relates to something we talked about earlier in the season. We, of course, talked about
Yep.
Domingo Germán's substance use against the Twins when they were on New York. So,
hmm
yeah, Karma's a cat purring in the Twins' lap because it loves them. And
Yep.
we'll get to experience that a little bit more when we talk about the Twins because
hmm
karma is the only answer for how they are still in first place in the division.
Yep.
But before that, a team that's not in first place in the division and might just be sellers at the deadline. Sell it all, burn it down, sell Bryce Harper, sell them all. The Phillies are a fucking joke. They went 3-3 since we last spoke. In a couple series, I thought would be a nice change of pace. First, they lost to the Cubs 1-10, which fuck me. Then they salvaged that series with back-to-back wins to win the series. And then here comes Arizona. A highly potent offense recently, but a couple of friendly pitching matchups. The only tough one was going to be the closer against Zach Gallen. A series win? You'd think, please, 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 Phillies, a series win? No, no, no. The D-backs took games 1 and 2 and nearly got the sweep after leading 5-0 in the series closer yesterday. Somehow the Phillies came back and won 6-5 and 10. Trey Turner finally getting a little boom in that bat to tie it up late. There's not really any positives. Honestly, simply said, I'm sick of talking about a team that does this shit week after week. And things don't look good as next week is Atlanta and at the Mets. So, yeah, that's going to be fun. They're just, it's just an embarrassment. I talked about last week. I said you got the Cubs and the Diamondbacks coming to Citizens Bank Park, and I'm not discrediting. Like I said, the Diamondbacks have had a highly potent offense, a high scoring offense lately. I don't want to discredit that, but when you got a guy coming in that's got upwards of a 5.6 ERA, hasn't won a game all year, you should be able to, with the lineup you have, go tit for tat with them. You should be able to match
hmm
their offense. Trey fucking Turner, Kyle Schwarber, Nicholas Castellanos, Bryce Harper, JT Realmuto. You look at this lineup top to bottom, it is supposed to be able to compete in those games, and it can't. They are terrible when they have to score. They don't get it done. And then when shit like this happens where they're down 5-0, for some reason they decide they need to score 6 late. I'm not complaining you won, but come on. Why can't you do this all the time? When you need 1 or 2 runs, why can't you find them? But no, they find 5. They find 6. it's just it's just a joke. I mean, you look at the game Tuesday and they were down 2 and they had runners at every base loaded. The bases were loaded in the 7th. All they had to do was find one more hit. Well, that's when they strike out. That's when they fly out. They can never get that extra hit to put them over. They always just got it. Runners in scoring positions enough. I mean, it's just a joke. The Phillies are 23 and 26 on the year and sit in fourth place in the NL East. Um, we're not going to talk about how many games back. We're not going to talk about. They might be at fifth place next time we talk. All I'm going to say is please, for the love of Utley, find another June like last year and turn the ship around right now. Yeah, I don't want to talk about the shit show that is the Philadelphia Phillies anymore, Dale, so why don't you tell us about the Brewers?
Yeah, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. May really hasn't been their month of baseball like it was in April and late March, but they went to Tampa Bay for a three-game set, and on the Friday they lost 1-0, which is no big deal. That was a super close game until the eighth inning. Both pitching duels were fantastic, and then they lose 8-4, and it's like, come on, like runs need to start be scoring more often here. Um, and then they end up winning 6-4, and then on the 21st, and then they host Houston. They go back home. Houston host the Houston Astros, and the first game they lose 12-2. They get scored on by a dozen runs, or it's a dozen runs to two, and I'm thinking, man, we're going to get swept by the defending World Series champions, aren't we? So, what happens the next 2 days? You want to take a guess what happens the next 2 days?
The Brewers win?
They do.
Yeah.
And they not only win, they shut them out 6-0 and 4-0. So they just shut out the defending World Series champion and won the series and took the series from them.
Well, not to cut you off, Dale. You can continue, but it ain't saying much when you win a series against the defending World Series champion. Just ask the shitty Philadelphia Phillies. They did it in Houston.
And then yeah, so they took 2 out of 3 from Houston. They're on a 2-game win streak. They'll face San Francisco this weekend for a weekend series, and then they will have an off day Monday, and then have a 2-game set against the Toronto Blue Jays. Oh no, a 3-game set. I apologize. A 3-game set for the Toronto Blue Jays, and they will. Right now, they are currently in their last 10, 5-5, sitting at 27-22, and they are 2 games up on the Pirates in the division. So, yeah, so they're still leading the division, but I think the Brewers, I think they're finally realizing that key games they need to win, they gotta kind of stop being sloppy. But one guy I have seen the last week that has been on fire is Owen Miller.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
I seen
he
that he had a home
like
run yesterday.
for like the third straight game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he has been where is it? I had it pulled up here. Give me 1 second. Um yeah, so Owen Miller, I think ever since he started this year, he has just gone off. This year so far, he has a 346 average, 4 home runs, and 11 RBIs. So he's a guy to keep an eye out for. And it's even cooler because he's from Wisconsin, so he was born in Wisconsin. So his last 7 games,
Mm.
Miller has 11 hits, 3 home runs, 4 RBIs, 1 walk, and a 393 average with 2 stolen bases and a slugging percentage of 786. So he's seeing the ball well right now, and his home runs, his hits is what helped the Brewers beat Houston and beat Tampa Bay that one game. So looking forward to seeing what he can do later with San Francisco and against San Francisco and Toronto. But
Well,
yeah, the Brewers are, are, even though they haven't played great in May, they are. I wouldn't say they're turning it around in a sense, but they are staying consistent. They're not losing a whole lot now, and they're not winning a whole lot. So hopefully hopefully the month of June can be their turnaround for them.
yeah. Well, maybe only one team will turn around in June, so if that happens, I'm gonna need that spot. Sorry about that. Uh, whew. How about we talk about another team that, well, we're gonna lose, Twins. We're gonna lose. My expectations were high, but
Hmm.
holy shit, Twins! You may as well been in the Mariana Trench because it almost couldn't get worse. 2-4 for the week in their series with the Angels and the Giants. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm not going to go in depth on this, folks. I'm just going to be honest. I'll just say the high point was the 7-1 thrashing of the Giants yesterday to avoid the sweep and get Joe Ryan back in the win column. That's great for him. Joe Ryan, of course, starting off 5-0 for the year. Last two starts, I believe a no decision and a loss. Um, last three, I think. I
Yeah.
think the last three have been a no decision, a loss, and a no decision. Um, so yeah, good for Joe Ryan to finally get back in the win column. He's trying to build up a Cy Young award resume, and to do that, your team has to help you get a couple wins here and there. Um, I mean, yeah, I'm giving up one run. He only went 5 innings, pulled in the sixth. Was a little shaky. Obviously, the one run on the board looks well on him, but was giving up a
Uh-huh.
lot of hits. Uh, Basically, you're working on a lot of jam, stranding a lot of runners, which is fine. You know, if you're gonna get out of the situation, you can do that once in a while. And he did get out of the situation, and obviously, the Twins' offense didn't leave it up to the judge's decision on if Joe Ryan was going to walk out there with a win no matter what happened.
Hmm.
Because, yeah, 7 runs is going to be enough. The low point, though, the fact that outside of the opener in LA, every other loss seen the opponent score four. And the opener in LA seen the Angels score five. Just a pitiful week. Yeah. So,
Yeah, and oh no, I was going to say, and yeah, and I've been looking at the division standings. I just can't believe the Indians are three, or the Guardians. I'm sorry, the Guardians are 3-7 in their last 10 games, and they are 21-28, and they got surpassed by the Detroit Tigers for second place.
yeah.
The Tigers are sitting at 22-25.
Fucker stealing all my closing argument. Because despite the
I
rough week, the Twins still reign over the Central because outside of the White Sox, this would have been a good point for the Guardians going 3-7. Outside the White Sox at 7-3 in their last 10 and 5 of the division, no other team in the division has a winning record in the last 10. Uh, Guardians 3-7, a lot of 3 and
Mhm.
sevens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean not very fantastic.
Well,
The Twins.
oh no, go ahead. I don't want to hurt your
Uh,
closing argument.
no, I was just gonna say the Twins are 26-24 and hold a 3-game lead over Detroit in the AL Central. So I don't know, Twins. I'm not saying that you need to become a little bit more consistent if
Mhm.
you're gonna win the AL Central. But it is the worst division in baseball. So a good way to turn that reputation around would to be win by quite a few games and have a good record when you go into the playoffs.
Yeah. No, no, I was just going to mention, I think it's just a weird year. I don't know if I've ever felt this weird about a baseball season just because I'm looking at it. The Pirates are second in the division. The Marlins are second. The Diamondbacks are second. The Orioles are second. Detroit second, and Houston is in second, with Texas leading them in the division. And the Angels are only 4 games out. So,
Yeah,
so I feel like some of those teams, looking at like the Tigers or like the Diamondbacks, like those teams, they were terrible like 3, 4 years ago, and they went through a um, huge rebuild, and like especially Baltimore, like they only 3 games out and they have a 32-17 record. Like they went through a rebuild and they sucked for like 5 years straight. So I so I want to say I see a turnaround of all these bad teams. So I think pretty soon here I kind of wonder where the Dodgers are going to be sitting, or like a couple of those other the Braves, like 4 to 5 years from now, if they'll still be that dominant force, or if all the guys from the farm system for the other teams produce well enough that they give them a run for their money.
Well, what I will say about the Braves
Is
is
yeah, I
that
don't.
at some point the NL East will turn over to a new gatekeeper for a few years, and that's usually how it turns out. It's
Yeah,
usually Braves, Phillies had their run from '07 to 11. Uh, yeah, it kind of seems like somebody runs over the NL East for a few years. Most of the times it is the Braves. But we'll see.
and I
Maybe that'll come at some point.
yeah, and I think the Nats, they hold it from like 2012 to about 2015 or 14 because they made the postseason a couple of those years there.
Yeah, they had a few runs with Bryce Harper where they won the division. Uh,
And then the Mets, I think, held it. So it might be the Marlins' turn to.
the Marlins aren't as bad as everyone tries to make them out to be. I mean,
Mm-mm.
they've been good the last few years.
Yeah,
I think they just
they
kind of
made the playoffs.
yeah.
Yeah, they made the playoffs the COVID year. But I just think it's crazy. I'm looking how bad San Diego's been this year, and like Colorado. Like I feel like Colorado is just giving up.
Yeah. San Diego is a good conversation though.
Yeah.
When you think about all that money they invested, that's a team that's just hoping and begging this season turns around because that's a lot of money invested in a ball club, and if it does not work out, if the height of your success during all this money is that you lost in the NLCS to the last team in the playoffs, yeah,
That's not good.
yeah, I don't, and I'm not.
Especially being,
I was just
oh,
gonna say
go,
I'm not
go.
taking any shots at the Phillies either there by saying
Mhm.
they're the last team in the playoffs. Uh, I don't know if people remember this, but people that were there during the Twitch days would remember I said this about the Phillies. I even back then I
Mhm.
said, if they get in, they're gonna be dangerous. The rest of the league is gonna undervalue them because of their record and the fact they were the last team
Mhm.
in. But they played some extremely good baseball against every team in the playoffs on the National League side, outside of the Braves and the Mets. The Braves was a little closer. The Mets, they did not win at all. Um, but yeah, I called it. I kind of said if they avoid the Mets, everything should be fine. I thought they could beat the Braves. They beat the Braves. I thought they could beat the Cardinals for sure. Swept them. I wasn't extremely worried about the Padres. And you look at it, the Phillies lost 2 games before the World Series, and then they lost four.
Yeah.
But I mean, they still won 2 games in the World Series against a Houston team that really the way I looked at it was, I'm just happy to get in the World Series and then
Mhm.
give it your best shot. But Houston was the best team in baseball last year. They rightfully won the World Series, and no shot at the Phillies for that, but it is like you've invested so much money, you've invested so many assets, so many prospects in with getting Juan Soto and everything around that. The money you gave to Bogarts now, just all these guys you paid up for. And if that's the height there is an NLCS loss, you don't even make the World Series.
Yeah.
You're gonna be, looking back on that like, what a waste.
Especially being, especially the Padres, because they were bad for a long time, and then they finally got all the pieces. They finally got the money that they could afford with Tatis and Machado and Juan Soto and all these different guys. And yeah, like you were saying, like if that NLCS is the farthest you can go, or if like you're remembered for that, that's kind of sad because like their fans, I think their city, their fans. are expecting World Series title, and I don't know where the window's at for something like that.
Yeah. Uh, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. They're gonna have to deal with the Soto contract.
Yeah,
Here coming up, that'll be interesting to see. Other thing, interesting to see if they make a run at Otani.
yeah. So yeah, I'm just wondering if they do make a run at Otani, and they say if they do get him, will they be like an Angels team where you have one of the best players in baseball and you have this big team and you can't win the division? Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, the Dodgers are a good team, but I feel like the Padres have a lot more notable players on the squad, if you know what I mean. Like, you have all stars like Soto, Machado, you have like Musgrove, you have um, Hugh Darvish, like you have these big name guys, and then we go over to the Dodgers now. They have like, I mean, they have Will Smith and they have other high profile names, but I feel like the Padres kind of outrank them in that sense. But somehow the Dodgers are still so well managed that it doesn't matter who they have, they can still win.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the Padres are definitely the better roster on paper. But the
Yeah,
Dodgers just put it together better. And
yeah,
yeah, ultimately that's I guess what matters. I mean, if you win ball games, that's what you're here to do, not look flashy and you don't. Nobody cares about the sexy magazine cover Padres if they finish
yeah,
third in the division, miss the playoffs or
yeah.
something.
Hmm.
And I know that well because I can think of another team that was on a magazine cover and missed the playoffs, and nobody really cared that everyone put them on a magazine cover. I would find it. I got somewhere here the Sports Illustrated with the Phillies on the cover when they got JT Realmuto, they got Bryce Harper, you had Reese Hoskins on that cover. I mean, it's just completely forgotten because they didn't live up to the hype. They fell flat on their face. I believe the Padres were on that. I believe that was a double cover.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think there's a double cover of those two because I think was it the year Real Muto signed? Didn't they get Machado? I thought, or
yeah, it was the year they traded for Real Muto and Harper, and then signed
yep,
Harper. So it would have been the year Machado was a free agent. So yeah, it would have been Machado's year he went to San Diego.
yeah, 2019. Wait, no,
Yeah,
yeah,
2019.
2019 because Machado was a Brewer and or no, not a Brewer. He
A
was a
Dodger.
Dodge who faced a Brewer in 18. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I mean that's another team. I mean we're not going to get into it, but that's another team right there. That's height might have been the NLCS appearance.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Um,
I'm hoping that's not the case, but if anything, like if like 5 years from now, if they're going through another rebuild or if whatever they have, I mean they got still got a lot of young guys, so I don't think it's truly going to be a rebuild. But yeah, it could be their 2018 NLCS is like the closest thing they got to a World Series title
See,
or a
this is the
World
question
Series.
though. When do you ultimately consider a window closed?
For the Brewers,
Like, I mean, like where it's such a different team from that what whatever Brewers, sure, since we're talking about when is the team ultimately so flipped over that it's so different from that team that ultimately went on that NLCS run, that it's a completely different window and it's not the same.
yeah, I think it's when Craig Counsell leaves, and I think that's next year. I seriously think it's next year because I know he says his kids are starting college baseball and he wants to be a part of that. So I want to say this is his last year. So this is that closing window from that 2017 to that 2023 window was the what they were, I think, projecting where, okay, we'll invest some money, we'll go out, get a couple of these free agents, get trade a couple of these guys to make a run. And I think this is their last window. And then I think when they get a new manager, then that window goes from like They might have a couple down years or make the wild card and lose. But I think then the next window will be like 2027 to like 2033 or whatever, like another 5 year window that they have. But I think the window from that 2018 season is this year. I think that's where the window closes.
Okay, folks. Well, with that, we will conclude the baseball talk. Um, yeah, not to abruptly slam the book shut, but
Slam the window shut. You could have used that.
missed it, missed it. Yeah,
You missed a huge opportunity.
but let's cut to a quick ad break. When we come back,
Yep.
we'll talk our album this week, 1984 from Van Halen. You're watching us live here at the Dogs Maniac Entertainment YouTube channel. Don't go anywhere.
Like it would have or whatever.
Well, folks, we are back. I'm Jared. He's Dale. We're gonna be talking uh, an album this week, the Mighty Van Halen. Uh, you could say legendary album.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was hoping that you'd say nothing that I'd go, no? Well, you should have.
Nothing that I don't know, but you should ask.
Yeah. Today we got 1984, the sixth studio album from Van Halen. Yeah, I mean, I think that we just gotta say, let's get into this. Let's hear what Junior has to say. We'll say the two catchphrases. I'm assuming. Dale, the floor is
Yep.
yours.
I'm going to keep it short and sweet.
There we go. The two catchphrases.
The two catchphrases. First off, Van Halen was 1984 was produced in the year 1955. No, no, no. Just kidding. It was produced in the year 1984. Don't want to confuse anybody. It's not a futuristic song at all. But no. 1984. I think it's probably. I don't know if it's me personally, but I think when I think of Van Halen, I think of this album. That's just me, especially with song Panama. So yeah, whenever I think of Van Halen, I think of Panama. So listen to the album again for like the third, fourth, fifth, millionth time, or however many times I've listened to it. Um, I love it. I mean, I'm not a huge Van Halen fan, but their music is amazing. Like, like they're not like up on the level that I enjoy of like Guns N' Roses per se, but I do like Van Halen. I like their music, but I like this album probably my favorite. A couple of the songs I like are Jump, Panama, obviously, and Girl Gone Bad. Just a couple of their songs from that album, and House of Pain. Like, how can we forget House of Pain? Um, but yeah, overall, it's a good album, but I can see Jared laughing over there. So I'm gonna let him attack me now. So
No, no,
I
Dale. It's you can go. You can go. I just found that humorful. How can we forget House of Pain?
yeah, how can we forget House of
Well,
Pain?
we'll hear the mighty Van Halen is one of those bands for me that is considered top tier. This album is no exception. 1984 is the perfect end to the original David Lee Roth era of Van Halen on top of the world. This album has hits such as possibly Van Halen's most famous song, Jump, a wee bit overrated, Panama, Hot for Teacher, and All Wait, as well as the sort of underrated Drop Dead Legs. Of those previously mentioned tracks, I'd have to say my favorite is the high flying, kicking, and whipping Panama. It's a killer track. You get to that little drop there, reach between my legs, ease the seat. It's just that song is so iconic throughout for everything about it. Uh, Look at it, it's referenced in Family Guy.
Yeah.
Like this album is honestly, um, I don't know. Last time I did an album ranking, I wouldn't have ranked this my favorite Van Halen album, but I would say it's possibly their best, and it is up there. It's between this and Van Halen 1. Um, Both albums are just so incredible, hit after hit. Uh, yeah, that it's like the perfect bookends. Van Halen 1 starting the era of David Lee Roth, 1984 ending it. And then you get into the Van Hagar era with Sammy Hagar, and no shots against that. Sammy Hagar, well, not my favorite lead singer of Van Halen, is a very capable man. Yeah. No, least favorite song on this album. Dale can see
House
where
of
this
Pain.
is. Dale can see where this is going. How could you forget House of Pain? I mean, that's nothing against the song, but I don't think it's anything special. As a lot of people say about it, it is your stereotypical David Lee Roth song where he's just being Dave. It's a little different than the rest of the album. If there's one song I might replace off the album, it's House of Pain. I just I'm not huge on it. I'm gonna be honest, I'm in the minority on this one too. I'm not huge on Girls Gone Bad. Um, I just think the album from the beginning to right before those last two is so good. And I do think that, if I'm looking at two songs that maybe aren't on the same level uh, as the rest, it's House of Pain, it's Girls Gone Bad. It's just it's a little different, I guess, is what I'm saying. And I love this album, so I don't want to dog on any songs. But at the same time, it's like this album is only 9 songs long.
Yeah.
Of course, the beginning is more of an interlude, an instrumental.
Hmm.
So that isn't really one I consider a ton. So you cut it down to 8, and I mentioned, I believe, 5 songs
Hmm.
that I consider bona fide hits. That only leaves one more before we get into the 2 I don't like. So come on, I think that says it. I think this album is high flying considering most of the real songs are hits, and that only
Hmm.
leaves 3 that I wouldn't say. Yeah.
Yeah, and like most of that album, like the three that you wouldn't say like were the big hits to them, or like that you didn't like. I think a couple of those songs though that are the hits, I feel like they are used for like a lot. Like what you were saying with Family Guy, like they were used for a lot of TV shows, movies,
Yeah, I mean,
commercials.
turn on a classic rock stadio station. What the fuck did I combine
Mhm.
station and studio? I don't even know what I did there. Uh,
Statio, that's where we are live at. We're live at the Statio.
yeah. Anyway, um, turn on the classic rock station, and you're gonna hear Jump. You're gonna hear Panama.
Hmm.
You're gonna hear Hot for Teacher. You'll probably hear All Wait. Yeah, I mean, it's like a guarantee you are going to
Hmm.
hear these songs. If you listened from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., at some point you are gonna hear, I would say, at least 2 of those 4 songs.
And to
I
be honest with you, like classic rock stations too, I feel like, yeah, they were produced in like the 70s and the 80s, like the song. But I feel like even with us and our children, I think it'll still be popular. Like those songs will still be listened to like 50 years from now. Kind of
oh
just like the Beatles. Like yesterday, I was mentioning to my mom, I said they had the Yellow Submarine. They had that song on by the Beatles on a commercial. Like that song was produced almost 50 years ago. So like it's spanned 4 generations. So this one will span 4 generations, 5 generations. So not even just Panama itself, but all their albums. I feel like Van Halen and all these big famous bands will be in the lives of people forever. I feel like.
yeah, I mean, as long as people continue to pass down the
Yeah.
music the way my dad passed down Van Halen to me,
Hmm.
and attempted, um, with my brother.
Who is named
Yeah,
ironically is Van Halen.
if you guys do not know my brother's full name, not a joke on the show, no, not joking, his full
Hmm.
name is Van Halen Running, not joking, completely true. First name Van, middle name Halen, of course, last name. Yeah, I mean, he is a Van Halen freak. Not my brother, my dad. As he says, he named his kids after his 2 favorite things in the world, himself and Van Halen, in that order. You can guess what his name is. um, yeah. So, I mean, hey, as long as people continue to pass on the music they love, it is going to live on
Hmm.
forever. And, the way people passed on, that classic rock to us, you pass it down to your kids. And, yeah, at a point it will die because, that generation loved it, then less from this generation, and then probably less from that, and just, it'll die off of me eventually. But, hey, long live the mighty Van Halen. Long live Motley Crue, Long Live all
Hmm.
of those, Guns N' Roses, all those legends of metal.
Hmm.
Hello, Ronald.
Hello, I'm out in the front.
Yeah, and you're live on Junior and Junior. What would you like to say to the audience listening at home?
I'm sorry, you don't want to hear from this old shit.
Okay.
All right.
All right, we'll let you go, Ronald. We'd like to wrap up the show at this time.
All right. Goodbye. Sorry.
And we apologize for that phone call. That was the Junior's very own Ronald Running
Yeah,
calling in for live via phone.
yeah, calling in live from right outside the window. All right, anyway, guys, I'm just gonna move this on so we can talk about the big announcement we have. But next week, before we get into it, this all kind of ties in the talk about Van Halen,
Yep.
the talk about this album. We're gonna do Recovery from Eminem next week,
Yep.
which just like the talk of 1984 is going to tie into this, because coming to Dogs Maniac Entertainment starting next Tuesday, May 30th, is a new music show. You want to tell them what it's called, Dale?
Yeah, it is called Crank It Up. It is a new music show that is hosted by you, by me, by our good friend Andrew DeBow, and it kind of ties into all of kind of our expertise. It's like yours is rock, his is rap or like hip hop, and mine's country. So we'll be talking about right now. I know next couple shows will be on, or the next Crank It Ups, I should say, will be on our top 11 favorite artists. And why top 11? Because 11 is both our favorite number, and we wanted to be different from the competition. So
Yeah,
why
you
not?
got to be different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
So and I forgot to mention we apologize for last week. We had an episode filmed. It was filmed. We thought it went up.
oh yeah, folks, if you were looking for the Junior and Junior video on demand last week, I don't know what happened. We tried something a little different that seemed like it worked
Mhm.
well. Scheduling the broadcast in a different way so that it would
Yeah.
say it was going to start at 8:30 instead of saying it was going to start at whatever time I scheduled it for the night before. By creating the stream just to click start broadcast. But for some reason that new system, when you ended the stream, uh instead of ending the stream and then we just continued on, for some reason it just deleted the show. Uh and I don't know what was going on there, folks. Yeah, we apologize. We had a great show last week.
Uh-huh.
But the only people that know that exists now are the people that were there live and the two of us. So the
Yeah.
two of us.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Two of us.
Yeah, I mean, hey, there's nothing you can do to recover it now. It's a shame. All we can do is live and learn from that moment, and
Yep.
not do stuff like that again. Before trying new streaming techniques like that, just learn it's best to just try it out on a stream that's not worth anything.
Hmm.
Yeah. So sorry, folks, if you were looking forward to hearing us talk about Bailey Zimmerman, because that does not exist anymore, and I had lots to say. I had more to say about Bailey Zimmerman than I had to say about Van Halen. But that has
You
a lot to
did.
do
You
with,
did.
yeah, that has a lot to do with the fact that, yeah, as Dale said, next week, me, Jared,
Hmm.
I will be hosting the rock section
Yeah.
of Crank It Up, the debut episode. I am so happy to be able to present the first episode to you folks, as I'll be talking my top 11 favorite rock artists of all time. As you kind of could have got out of this review, uh, good chance Van Halen's going to be on there somewhere.
Yeah.
So didn't want to, completely blow that out of the water and you
Uh-huh.
not, have anything to, listen for or, hear new from me when I do ultimately
Yeah.
talk Van Halen on that list. The last thing before we wrap up, we already know what the second episode is going to be, so we just, tell everybody that it will be our top 11 favorite albums. But we'll talk more about that, when the episode is coming out. Every week we will give you guys a look in based on what's going to be going on. Next week Andrew will have his episode. We'll promote it here, and then Dale will be able to promote the episode better because we'll have Dale here himself. And yeah, what can you do? That's how the world moves on. I can't wait to start this, crank it up, and I feel like you folks that enjoy our music review talk will love Crank It Up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the folks will love Crank It Up. I think they're in for a ride. I tell you that much. I think they're gonna if we have audience members that are just or viewers that are just solely rock, maybe it'll open their eyes to rap or country or vice versa. If they're solely country and we review rock. So yeah, trying to kind of give our what we enjoy, like the music we like, and yeah.
Yeah, I know, and that is a great point, Dale. I mean, if you're somebody who does only enjoy one of the genres we're covering, give the other a shot. If you only like the rock, do tune in and hear what Andrew and Dale have to say about rap and country, respectively. If you only like rap, hey, hear us out. Here's what we have to say about our genres, and if you're a country person, right at it. That's good for you. But give me a shot. Let me win over your heart to the rock fandom. But yeah, I mean, it's just, hey, it's going to be a good time. We already have the first episodes recorded. It's just not me to edit them now. I'm working on the final touches, getting the intros for everybody ready, and then you guys will see the first episode coming out on May 30th. Also, for anybody that watches The Universe and Junior, this will bring back The Universe as well. We talked about it in the Universe draft, that we were working on a project, but we want to get started on. Finals week is over for us. Done with school for now. And we got started on this project, and that was the last thing that we really had to do before bringing back The Universe. So this will get our schedule way back, back to normal. Universe will be once a week. It'll be on Saturdays. The schedule, will look like Tuesdays, Crank It Up. Thursdays, Junior. Saturdays, Universe. It's going to be perfect. Can't wait to get this started. But I'll let the folks go because we're approaching a 50-minute episode.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I've been Jared.
And I've been Dale.
And this is Junior. We will see you guys right back here live, 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, Dogs Maniac Entertainment YouTube channel. Make sure to check out the debut episode of Crank It Up before we're back at it.